Ladies and gentlemen, in the quiet hush of dawn, when the world is still wrapped in its velvet veil of possibility, we stand at the threshold of creation. Morning is not merely a time of day, it is a sacred portal, a place where the unseen becomes ready to take form and the laws of mind respond with swift precision. In these early moments, our words become wands, our thoughts the architects of unseen wealth, and our declarations the keys that unlock the limitless good already awaiting us. For spirit does not withhold. Only our own consciousness determines the size of the blessings we are prepared to receive. Every individual carries within them a divine blueprint for success, abundance, and overflowing prosperity. Yet many walk through life unaware that this pattern of good is activated not through striving, stressing, or struggling, but through the spoken word charged with conviction. As we declare a thing, we summon it. As we speak prosperity, we magnetize it. As we align our vibration with the laws of supply, wealth cannot help but flow toward us with effortless grace. The universe responds not to fear or doubt, but to the calm certainty that all good is already ours by divine right. Morning declarations are not mere optimistic phrases, they are spiritual commands. They break the spell of limitation, dissolve hidden barriers, and uproot false beliefs that once claimed dominion over our affairs. With each intentional word we speak, we rewrite the script of our destiny. We move from lack to plenty, from worry to assurance, from wandering to guidance. Wealth becomes not something we chase, but something that recognizes our frequency and hastens to us with speed and joy. These declarations are seeds, vibrant, living seeds planted in the fertile soil of dawn. As the day unfolds, they grow roots, take form, and begin shaping circumstances, opportunities, encounters, and ideas that align with our highest abundance. Soon, what once felt distant or difficult becomes natural, expected, and inevitable. The outer world rearranges itself to match the inner conviction we carry. The power behind these morning declarations lies not in loudness but in clarity. They are spoken not with strain, but with serene certainty. Even a whisper, when backed by spiritual authority, can move mountains of resistance. These words invite us to step into harmony with the laws that govern all wealth, laws of circulation, gratitude, expansion, and fearless expectation. When we align with these laws, money becomes a faithful servant rather than a fleeting visitor. Opportunities begin to recognize our name. Doors open without knocking. And wealth, in its many forms, flows toward us with a deliberate and joyful urgency. So as you prepare to speak these 9 declarations, remember, you are not begging the universe, you are instructing it. You are not asking for riches, you are accepting them. You are not hoping for abundance, you are declaring your oneness with the infinite supply that has always been yours. Through your morning words, you become the magnet, the vessel, and the radiant channel through which wealth rushes into manifestation. The spoken word is far more than sound carried on air. It is an invisible creative force that moves through the unseen and shapes the conditions of the material world. Every word we utter becomes a mold, a pattern, a command impressed upon the subtle substance from which all manifestations arise. Long before an idea takes form, long before wealth, success, opportunity, or advancement appears in our hands, the spoken word has already carved the pathway for it. Words are vibrational instruments, and each carries its own frequency, some harmonious, some discordant, some expansive, some limiting. When we speak consciously, with intention and spiritual authority, we activate the deeper laws that govern manifestation. When we speak carelessly, we unknowingly direct our creative power toward outcomes we may not desire. The universe responds with unfailing precision to the tone and conviction of our voice, and every declaration becomes a seed that grows according to its kind. There is a divine principle that reveals itself again and again. What we speak with belief becomes the atmosphere in which we live. Our environment is sculpted by the continual repetition of phrases, thoughts, and affirmations uttered throughout the day. If one repeatedly speaks of shortage, worry, or fear, the world reflects these impressions through blocked opportunities, stagnant finances, or unfulfilled dreams. But when one speaks of abundance, ease, and unlimited supply with unwavering confidence, the outer world shifts to reveal channels through which good can flow. Words summon their own likeness, drawing circumstances that mirror their vibration. The spoken word does not operate in isolation. It becomes a living force, mingling with thought, emotion, and expectation, forming a triad of creative energy that shapes destiny. To understand the power of the spoken word is to realize that speech is one of the most potent tools given to us. It is the means through which we direct the universal substance into form. Every decree we make becomes an instruction to the invisible realm. When we say, "I am prosperous," we are not merely hoping for prosperity. We are aligning ourselves with the truth of abundance and opening the door through which prosperity can approach. When we speak with certainty, all forces of supply begin arranging themselves into new patterns, drawing to us people, ideas, and situations that correspond to our declaration. The spoken word dissolves barriers not through force, but through spiritual authority, for it carries the imprint of intention and the vibration of belief. There is a reason that declarations spoken in the morning hold exceptional power. The early hours are a time when the mind is most receptive, when old patterns loosen and new impressions settle deeply into consciousness. As we awaken, we stand between worlds, the quiet remnants of the subconscious still active, and the conscious mind preparing to direct the day. Words spoken in these moments penetrate more deeply, bypassing the hardened layers of doubt that sometimes build up during the day. Morning declarations create a rhythm, a tone, a spiritual momentum that influences every thought, decision, and encounter that follows. They act as guardians at the gate of consciousness, establishing the frequency upon which the entire day unfolds. The spoken word is not limited by appearances. It does not depend on current conditions to determine what is possible. When we speak from a higher truth rather than temporary circumstances, we override the visible world and call forth a new order. The universe does not ask whether our declaration is realistic. It responds to faith, to clarity, to conviction. Words are the architects, reality is the building. And every statement of abundance, spoken with unwavering belief, becomes a beam of support, a foundation upon which new prosperity can stand. We are not required to see the result before speaking it. We are required to speak it so that we may eventually see it. Some imagine that the spoken word merely influences the mind, but its reach extends further. Words carry a metaphysical imprint, moving through currents of energy that connect all things. When we speak of success, supply, or opportunity, the vibration of those words travels outward, touching the unseen networks that orchestrate the flow of life. These currents respond by drawing us toward inspired action, aligning us with individuals who further our goals, and dissolving obstacles that once seemed immovable. The spoken word prepares the path ahead, smoothing it long before we set foot upon it. It is a lighthouse for the forces of good, signaling where they are meant to gather, expand, and flourish. To speak with power is to speak with alignment. It requires an inner certainty that the good we declare is already present in the invisible, ready to take shape. The spoken word does not beg or plead, it affirms. It does not hope, it knows. It does not reach outward for something distant. It calls forth what is already ours by spiritual law. When we speak from this place of inner authority, our words carry a resonance that transcends ordinary language. They become commands that the universe recognizes instantly. Doubt dilutes the force of a spoken word, but clarity magnifies it. Even a simple declaration, spoken with unwavering belief, can dismantle years of limitation. The spoken word also reshapes identity. Each declaration is a brushstroke upon the canvas of the self. When we speak of ourselves as capable, prosperous, guided, and supported, we step into the version of ourselves that can receive such good. Speech trains consciousness, and consciousness guides manifestation. Many struggle because they attempt to acquire wealth without first forming the inner identity of one who naturally attracts wealth. But when the spoken word consistently affirms abundance, the inner self shifts, and with that shift, outer conditions quickly fall into harmony. The spoken word builds the inner structure upon which outer prosperity rests. To recognize the spoken word as a creative force is to reclaim a power many unknowingly give away. Each day offers a new opportunity to speak deliberately, to plant seeds of prosperity, to issue commands to the universe, and to shape the unfolding of our destiny through intentional vibration. In every moment, our words are casting votes for the future we will inhabit. And as we begin to speak with awareness, with confidence, with faith in the unseen, we participate consciously in the divine act of creation, directing the forces that mold our reality into the form of our choosing, in full agreement with the laws that govern all supply and abundance, and in harmony with the inner truth that all things are already moving toward us in perfect order and divine timing, preparing to unfold through channels we cannot yet see, but are already forming and aligning themselves with every word we choose, to speak as an act of spiritual authority and creative intention. Morning unfolds with a quiet, luminous power, offering a moment untouched by the noise of the world, a moment before the mind gathers its memories, worries, and patterns from yesterday. In this fresh, unclaimed space, the consciousness is impressionable, open, and ready to receive new directives. This is why morning declarations hold such extraordinary influence. They align the mind with divine abundance at the very hour when spiritual laws respond most swiftly, and the subconscious listens most attentively. When you wake, you stand in a state of spiritual neutrality, a place where doubt has not yet risen, and the old patterns have not yet regained their foothold. In this stillness, your words become the first brushstrokes on the canvas of the day, and what you declare shapes the atmosphere in which all events, encounters, and opportunities will unfold. Alignment is the secret engine behind manifestation. When your mind is attuned to divine abundance, you move in harmony with the laws of supply rather than against them. These laws were established long before you arrived here, and they operate with perfect precision. They respond not to stress or striving but to inner agreement. Morning declarations create that agreement. They tune your inner world to the frequency of possibility, dissolving the residues of fear that sometimes cling from past experiences and replacing them with a serene expectancy of good. The mind cannot serve two masters. It either aligns with limitation or abundance. Morning declarations tip the balance toward abundance before the day can choose for you. The moment you speak a declaration in the morning, you are placing your consciousness under the authority of spiritual truth rather than human appearance. You are reminding yourself that divine supply is unlimited, ever present, and flowing in ways beyond your current understanding. So many spend their days reacting to conditions, but morning declarations shift you from reaction to creation. You begin the day as the architect of your reality, not a passive observer of circumstances. As you speak, you awaken the inner faculties of faith, intuition, clarity, and receptivity. These faculties are the gateways through which abundance expresses itself, and once activated, they draw into your experience the people, ideas, and situations that match your declared vibration. When you declare abundance first thing in the morning, you signal to the subconscious that this is the theme of your day. The subconscious then begins scanning your environment for proof of this abundance, filtering your attention toward opportunities, ideas, and solutions that align with prosperity. It also reorganizes your internal emotional climate so that you approach challenges with calm, assurance, and creativity. This quiet confidence is often what opens doors that once appeared locked. When the subconscious is impressed with a belief in abundance, it cannot help but produce it through inspired actions, intuitive nudges, and natural magnetism. Morning declarations do not simply align the mind with divine abundance. They also unhook the consciousness from the grip of scarcity. Scarcity is not a condition, it is a belief. Many people live under its influence because they have repeatedly allowed yesterday's disappointments to speak louder than spiritual truth. But each morning offers a reset, a chance to dismantle old narratives with a single intentional statement. When you say, "Abundance flows to me freely," you are issuing a spiritual decree that dissolves the thought forms of lack that the mind may have unconsciously collected. These declarations break the hypnotic spell of worry and replace it with certainty that supply is always on its way, often through channels unseen. Alignment with divine abundance does not happen through force, it happens through gentle insistence. Each morning declaration is a small but potent shift, nudging the mind from doubt to faith, from constriction to expansion, from survival consciousness to spiritual assurance. And because the morning mind is not yet cluttered with external influences, these declarations sink deeply, forming powerful roots that sustain you throughout the day. As the hours pass, situations may arise that would normally trigger fear, impatience, or insecurity, but the morning declaration acts as a spiritual anchor, holding you steady and reminding you of a greater truth. It is far easier to maintain abundance consciousness when you have already established the tone at dawn. Morning. Declarations also serve another important purpose. They invite divine guidance into your day. When the mind aligns with abundance, it becomes receptive to intuitive direction. You begin to notice subtle signs, inspired impulses, and synchronous moments that lead you forward with elegance and ease. You start to take actions that feel natural, timely, and supported, rather than forced or uncertain. Ideas arrive with clarity rather than confusion. Solutions present themselves before problems grow roots. The path of least resistance becomes visible. This is because abundance is not merely financial, it is the free flow of wisdom, creativity, opportunity, and harmonious timing. By aligning with divine abundance early, you open yourself to an entire field of support that extends far beyond material gain. Another profound effect of morning declarations is the way they shift your emotional vibration. Emotions are magnets, and the universe responds to the tone of your feelings as readily as to your words. When you declare abundance with sincerity, your emotional state rises into gratitude, expectancy, and openness. These emotional tones create an electromagnetic field that draws matching experiences. You become a beacon for prosperity. People sense your confidence. Opportunities gravitate toward you because your vibration signals readiness. Even challenges transform into stepping stones because you meet them with a centered, abundant mindset, rather than fear or doubt. To align your mind with divine abundance in the morning is to claim your place in the universal flow of supply. It is to declare that you are not separated from the source of all prosperity, but connected to it as naturally as a wave is connected to the ocean. When you speak from this awareness, even subtly, you set in motion a current of good that continues throughout the day. Every thought that follows becomes easier, clearer, more harmonious, because the first words you spoke that morning framed your entire consciousness with the truth of abundance. You begin to see life not as a series of obstacles, but as a continuous unfolding of provision, guidance, and opportunity. Morning declarations are the alignment ritual that reminds your mind of what your spirit already knows, that you are always supported, always supplied, and always connected to a greater good that is eager to express itself through your life in ever-expanding ways. Wealth flows, where conviction replaces doubt, because conviction is a signal of alignment, a clear directive to the universe that you are ready to receive without resistance. Doubt scatters energy, weakens intention, and interrupts the natural current of supply. But conviction gathers your power into a single focused stream, creating a magnetic force that draws prosperity toward you. The universe responds not to hesitation, but to certainty. When you speak, think, and act with the inner knowing that abundance is your divine inheritance, you establish a vibration that wealth recognizes instantly. Conviction is not loud or forceful. It is calm, unwavering, and rooted in spiritual truth. It is the quiet inner assurance that supply is constant, opportunities are unfolding, and nothing can obstruct what is divinely yours. Many people unknowingly hold themselves in patterns of lack simply because doubt clouds their consciousness. They may affirm abundance with their words, but their inner commentary contradicts those declarations. Doubt whispers the language of limitation, replaying past disappointments and forecasting imagined futures that never come. Conviction, however, wipes the slate clean. It declares that the past has no authority over present good, and that divine supply is not governed by circumstances, timing, or logic. Conviction lifts you above appearances, allowing you to perceive abundance where others see obstacles. This shift in perception is precisely what opens the channels through which wealth flows. Conviction transforms the way you move through the world. It influences your posture, your energy, your decisions, your expectations. When you are convinced of your abundance, you no longer shrink from opportunities or second-guess your worthiness. You step forward with confidence because you know that life supports you. This confidence becomes a beacon that draws the right people, resources, and ideas into your orbit. People sense the difference between someone who hopes for prosperity and someone who expects it. Expectation is magnetic. It pulls events into alignment with your belief, often in ways that appear miraculous to the untrained mind. There is a spiritual principle that states, you cannot receive what you do not believe you can have. Conviction opens the door through which supply enters. Doubt closes it with equal force. When you remove doubt from your consciousness, even momentarily, the flow of abundance increases. It may appear as a new client, a sudden opportunity, a creative idea, a financial blessing, or a solution to a long-standing issue. Conviction acts like a key that unlocks doors that once seemed immovable. It signals to the universe that you trust the process, trust the laws of supply, and trust your divine right to prosper. Conviction also influences the subconscious mind, which plays a major role in the manifestation of wealth. The subconscious accepts repeated thoughts as truth, whether they empower or limit you. When you consistently speak and feel conviction in your abundance, the subconscious begins to reorganize your inner patterns. It enhances your intuition, strengthens your confidence, and heightens your receptivity to opportunities. Doubt does the opposite. It creates hesitation, fear, and a tendency to overlook or sabotage the very avenues that lead to prosperity. Conviction, therefore, is not just a spiritual stance, but a mental strategy that aligns every part of you with success. Wealth flows where conviction lives, because conviction creates coherence between your thoughts, emotions, and expectations. This coherence amplifies your magnetic field, making you a powerful attractor of good. When you fully believe that abundance is natural, constant, and divinely supported, you no longer chase wealth. Wealth gravitates toward you. You begin to witness synchronicities, fortunate timing, unexpected blessings, and effortless expansions. Life organizes itself to meet your certainty, because certainty is the language the universe understands and responds to with perfect accuracy. Prosperity responds to clarity, not struggle, because clarity is the signature of alignment, while struggle signals resistance. When you are clear about your good, clear in your intention, clear in your expectation, clear in your identity as someone who is meant to prosper, the universe moves swiftly to support you. Clarity creates a direct channel through which abundance can travel, unobstructed by confusion or conflicting desires. It is like adjusting a radio dial. Once the frequency is tuned precisely, the signal flows smoothly. But when doubt, fear, or uncertainty blur the channel, the flow becomes distorted. Prosperity thrives in an atmosphere of decisiveness, and clarity provides that atmosphere. Struggle, on the other hand, arises from the belief that you must force outcomes, that supply depends on effort alone, or that good must be earned through sacrifice. But spiritual law does not respond to strain, it responds to alignment. Many people exhaust themselves trying to pull abundance toward them with sheer effort, while their inner world remains clouded with uncertainty. The harder they push, the more distant prosperity feels, because struggle is rooted in the belief that something is missing, limited, or inaccessible. This belief contradicts the truth of divine supply, which is limitless and ever ready to express itself the moment we are aligned. Clarity dissolves the inner noise that blocks abundance. When you clearly define what you desire and believe in its rightful expression, your energy becomes focused and your mind becomes receptive. You stop scattering your attention between worry and hope, between fear and desire, between doubt and faith. Instead, you create a singular direction for the universe to follow. Clear intention becomes a blueprint, an instruction that manifestation can obey. There is power in saying, This is what I choose to experience, rather than, I hope something works out. Hope leaves the door open for doubt. Clarity closes that door and invites only the outcome you have consciously chosen. Prosperity responds to clarity, because clarity builds resonance. The clearer you are in thought and feeling, the stronger the vibrational signal you emit. This signal draws matching experiences into your reality with precision. Opportunities become easier to recognize because they harmonize with your focused intention. People who can support your path appear effortlessly, as if drawn by an invisible thread. Ideas arise naturally because your inner channels are no longer blocked by confusion. Clarity creates an inner stillness through which intuition speaks more loudly. This intuition guides you toward the right actions at the right moments, actions that lead to expansion rather than exhaustion. When you operate from clarity, you stop battling circumstances and begin directing them. You move through the world with purpose instead of struggle. You no longer waste energy trying to fix or fight situations that do not align with your path. Instead, you gravitate toward what feels aligned and release what feels forced. This shift in energy transforms your relationship with prosperity. You recognize that abundance is not something to chase but something to allow. It cannot enter a mind tangled with contradictory beliefs, but it flows freely into a mind that knows exactly what it expects and why it expects it. Clarity also reveals the difference between inspired action and effort driven by fear. Inspired action arises from the inner knowing that your supply is on its way. Fear-based effort comes from the belief that you must struggle to claim your portion. Prosperity expands through inspired action because such action carries the vibration of certainty. Every step taken from clarity amplifies your alignment and opens wider channels of opportunity. Struggle, however, miscommunicates your intention to the universe, signaling lack rather than abundance. This is why clarity is far more powerful than force. It is the quiet command that sets spiritual law into motion, allowing prosperity to gather, organize, and flow without obstruction. You attract riches by accepting your divine right to supply, because abundance is not something granted to a select few. It is the natural inheritance of every soul aligned with spiritual truth. The universe holds nothing back, but many people unknowingly hold themselves back by believing they are unworthy, unready, or unsupported. When you accept your divine right to supply, you lift yourself above these limiting beliefs and enter into harmony with the laws that govern prosperity. This acceptance is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is the recognition that you were created from an abundant source and therefore cannot be separated from abundance itself. The moment you accept this truth, the flow of supply begins to move toward you with greater speed and clarity. Acceptance is powerful because it removes inner resistance. When you feel unworthy, doubtful, or undeserving, you block the channels through which wealth would naturally arrive. These emotional states act like barriers, preventing the full expression of your good. But when you affirm that abundance is your divine right, these barriers begin to dissolve. You shift from a mindset of struggle to one of receptivity. You stop trying to prove yourself to life and begin allowing life to support you. This shift in consciousness is what opens the door to new opportunities, financial breakthroughs, and inspired ideas that align with your highest good. Accepting your divine right to supply also elevates your self-concept. You begin to see yourself not as someone trying to gain wealth from the world, but as someone who already carries the essence of abundance within. This inner elevation changes the way you speak, think, and act. You make decisions from a place of confidence rather than fear. You pursue opportunities with a sense of expectancy rather than desperation. You carry yourself with the calm assurance that good is flowing toward you because it cannot do otherwise. This confidence becomes magnetic, attracting experiences that mirror your elevated sense of worth. When you accept your divine right to supply, you also stop apologizing for desiring more. Many people shrink their dreams because they fear judgment or believe that wanting abundance is selfish. But desire is the language through which the universe calls you forward. It is the signal that more is ready to unfold. When you honor your desires instead of suppressing them, you align yourself with the next expression of your prosperity. You begin to recognize that your abundance not only benefits you, but also expands your ability to support others, contribute to your community, and express your gifts fully. Acceptance also shifts your emotional vibration. Instead of feeling lack, worry, or fear, you feel gratitude, confidence, and openness. These emotional states are highly magnetic. They draw matching experiences because the universe responds to your dominant vibration. The more you embody the feeling of abundance, the more abundance you attract. Accepting your divine right to supply is essentially giving yourself permission to receive. Many people ask for prosperity, but do not allow themselves to receive it. Acceptance clears this inner contradiction and creates a coherent energy field that welcomes wealth in all its forms. Finally, when you accept your divine right to supply, you stop chasing wealth and begin attracting it effortlessly. You move from a state of separation to a state of unity with the source of all good. This unity creates a natural flow, a rhythm in which opportunities arise at the right time, ideas come with clarity, and resources appear from unexpected places. You no longer fear loss or scarcity because you know that supply is constant, circulating, and always replenishing itself. Wealth becomes not an external object to pursue, but a natural expression of your alignment with the divine truths that govern this universe.